Coming to you from the mountains and the plain, the only conservative voices brave enough to push back. This is the Conservative Daily Podcast with Joe Otto.
That's what the Second Amendment was designed to do. If you're going to do something to nullify or take away my rights under the Constitution, come get it.
Max McGuire.
When you look at politicians on the left, they need to convince people that they are victims.
A resistance to the resistance. And now your hosts, Joe Otto and Max McGuire.
And welcome back to another edition of the Conservative Daily Podcast. My name is Max McGuire. Joe Otto not here right now. He had something he had to go run and do. But we're going live because we have a lot to talk about today and not a whole lot of time to do it. Our number, if you want to call in, 888-441-1121. We haven't been taking a whole lot of calls because we've had to go through so much, but I figure it's a good day to reopen the phone lines, 888-441-1121, if you want to chime in about any of this. So let's kick off right away. A couple days ago, we reported about a story that was breaking in Milwaukee, and it was the idea that Claire Woodall-Vaugh, the head of elections in Milwaukee, the city of Milwaukee, that she had misplaced the flash drive. Now, people who don't know what a flash drive is, it's a little USB thumb drive, right? You put it into a computer, and it serves as a hard drive. You can store data on it, documents on it, and the what. So we were reporting on the story, and we had to say at the time that it was alleged, because these were just rumors from local police. These were rumors from activists, local reporters. So we had to say it was alleged. But we now know that it happened. This absolutely happened. Let's go ahead and put up image 3, Mr. Producer. This is a letter that Claire Woodall-Vaugh, head of elections for Milwaukee, a letter that she sent to the Wisconsin Election Commission admitting that she lost track of the tabulation flash drive. I'll read a little bit of it right now. I am writing to inform you of an incident that occurred on Wednesday, November 4th, during the transfer of central count flash drives. The incident bears no impact on the validity of the results. Oh, thank you. It has been misreported by an undisclosed source to outside news agencies, so I felt it important to commit to writing the facts. Thank you. On November 4th, around 3 a.m., the city of Milwaukee finished counting absentee ballots. I began to export the results from Tabulator 7. Tabulator 7 was the last to finish processing ballots and was the only remaining flash drive to be burned. As I burned the flash drive, which can take up to 10 minutes, Milwaukee County Election Commission Director Henry asked that I bring a report for each tabulator regarding the number of ballots processed per precinct. While waiting for the flash drive to burn, I proceed to reboot each of the other 11 machines and print the requested report. After printing the reports, I deliver the flash drives to the Milwaukee County Election Commission via police escort. But upon arriving at the Milwaukee County Election Commission, I discovered that I had left the flash drive for Tabulator 7 in the machine. I immediately called Kimberly Zapata, a member of my senior leadership team, who was still present at Central Count, and confirmed that it was still in the machine. She removed it and shut down the machine. I believe it is important to document that the flash drive was never left unattended. She just said it was. That's a lie. And that staff had remained in the room throughout the whole process. Again, that isn't proven at all. Per our protocol of engaging law enforcement, Ms. Zapata gave the flash drive to a Milwaukee Police Department officer who delivered the flash drive approximately 10 minutes later. Timestamps on both the flash drive and the tabulator correlate and confirm that the flash drive was not altered from the original time of export. The Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office, of course, conducted a review of the incident so as to document the chain of custody and the number of agencies involved in the delivery of the flash drive. Let me know if you have any questions or concern. Sincerely, Claire Woodall-Vaugh. That is the letter from the head of elections of the city of Milwaukee admitting that in that 3 o'clock hour, she lost possession of the flash drive containing a significant number of votes that we now know almost all ended up going to Joe Biden. And you see this show, well, we sent it to the district attorney's office to make sure that we documented the chain of custody. Here's the thing. Chain of custody is important. Chain of custody proves who had what. And that's why she had to have police escort on the way to the final destination for these tabulated votes. Claiming that it never left the chain of custody is absurd, because they're counting on someone having possessed it who didn't know they had it, right? The chain of custody, the way it works is you take it, you hand it to someone else. When it gets to that someone else, you say, okay, you have it now, and you document that. They're claiming that it never left the chain of custody, but the person they're claiming had it didn't know they had it, didn't know they were in possession of it. You cannot be in possession of something if you don't physically know it's there. And this idea that, the count, the timestamps prove that no funny business was had. That's not proof, right? They lost track of the flash drive. It was out of their possession for what she admits was at least 10 minutes. That is more than enough time to change results, either manually or over the internet. Remember, these machines, we've proven on other episodes, have the ability to connect to the web. So you leave a flash drive in a machine, it is possible for that machine to be hacked by external sources and for the contents of that flash drive to be changed. And yes, hackers can cover their tracks. Hackers can cover their tracks and make it so the timestamp doesn't show any additional edits. Come on. I mean, that's middle school stuff, right? That's middle school stuff. That's stuff I was doing in middle school, or high school. If I had a research paper that was due, and it had to have been due by a certain time, yeah, you make sure that you put the time and the date on the document. You sent it in. Well, it was finished on time. This is ridiculous argumentation. She lost track of the ballots. And remember, 3 a.m., that is right when that massive dump of ballots happened for Joe Biden. Donald Trump in Wisconsin was up by, I believe, about 120,000 votes at the time. By the time Claire Woodall-Vogg got possession of all of these flash drives, they said, oh, well, out of the 160 some odd thousand votes on this, miraculously, Joe Biden got over 140,000. So the flash drive goes missing, 10 minutes, despite what they say outside the chain of custody, because you cannot say someone had it in the chain of custody if they didn't know they had it. They finally discover it 10 minutes later, and lo and behold, that flash drive contains just enough votes to flip Wisconsin from Trump to Biden in the middle of the night while we are all sleeping. Interestingly enough, Joe Biden is now up in Wisconsin by 20,000 votes. So as I said, Trump was up by about 120,000. This flash drive had about 140,000 for Joe Biden. So that flash drive doesn't only account for the flip, the midnight flip. Remember that we covered it where it looks like it's going up, 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 and then it goes whoop. That's what this was about. That whole thing, right? That whole, let me see if I can find it. You know, the graph, the thing, to borrow Joe Biden. The graph where you see Joe Biden is climbing. All of a sudden it goes boop, boop. That's what happened. We now know why there was such a significant jump in Wisconsin between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. Joe Biden got a ton of votes from a flash drive that was lost. However brief you want to say, 10 minutes, that is enough time for fraud to happen. We're not talking about having to actually fill out ballots. All they had to do was change the actual tabulated totals on the flash drive. We do have a video of, I'm not sure if this is her originally tabulating. This has to be originally tabulating because there was no media there when it was discovered. We have a cut of that. Let's go ahead and play this. This is cut 2. So this is Claire Woodall-Vogg, I believe, in the process of what she claims was she was doing the tabulation. All caught on video, right? And notice how there's no poll watchers. There's no official challengers. The only people there to watch this are just a couple of media cameras who I'm sure she wishes weren't even there. This is that process that she explained in that letter that we read, that she put the flash drive in the machine and she was tabulating it. What you don't see is that she left the flash drive behind. Look, no one's even, there's a couple of reporters, but there's no one else even there. There's no one else even there. Let's cut it. I think at the end it starts going to tweets and stuff. There's no one even there. There's no poll challengers. There's no poll watchers. There's no GOP representative, Democrat representative. There's a couple of reporters on their phones looking down and a couple of camera guys watching her. Now, according to all the timestamps, that is when she originally put the thumb drive, the flash drive, whatever you want to call it, into the machine. We are then led to believe by her own admission that she forgot it there, that she left it there. And actually, Mr. Producer, let's go back and play that video again. I didn't even think. Let's play it from the beginning. So we see this. It's important to note. Look at where that machine is. That machine is in the corner of the room. She's tabulating. Pay attention in a second when the camera pans the rest of the room. It's going to happen in a second. She's there tabulating. No poll watchers, no challengers, no GOP Democrat representative. Middle of the night, she's tabulating all alone with just a couple camera guys. The camera is about to pan in a second. Here we go. It should pan. So it starts panning. Look at everyone else. Look at where everyone else in the room is. Look how big that room is. Look how big the room is. All right, cut the video. This is something I didn't even notice before. Put image 3 back up. Image number 3. This is what she says. If you look at that second to last big paragraph, she says, I believe it is important to document that the flash drive was never left unattended and that staff had remained in the room throughout this entire process. That's her reasoning. She says that it's okay that she left it in the machine for at least 10 minutes because there was staff in the room. Can we go back to playing that video right where we left off without restarting it? Oh, no, it restarted. Can we go back to the video and fast forward like 30 seconds if you can. She's saying, I believe it is important to document that the flash drive was never left unattended and that staff had remained in the room throughout this process. But when you look at the video, it was unattended. The staff in the room were on the other end of the room. See if you can fast forward like 15 seconds. A little bit more. Fit another 15 seconds. Here we go. Oh, look. Oh, see all the staff. It's not even worth it at this point. All the staff. All those staff. Oh, it's okay. I left the machine. But look at how many people were on the other side of the big office room, of the big open floor plan. This is insane. This is insane. I didn't even put this together when I was putting together these cuts and these images. Her reasoning for why it isn't fraud and why there's no possibility for fraud was that there were still people in the room, but it's obvious that that machine was in one corner of the room and all the activity was on another side of the room. And we're not talking about little rooms. This is an open floor plan of a major office building. Joe is here. Joe is back. Welcome to the show, Joe. Did you catch anything we were just talking about?
I did. So hold on a second. Sorry. I have trouble seeing now, and so I was like looking at you and you're blurry, and I was like, I don't like the Max being blurry.
So what we're talking about is the story we covered a couple days ago. We now have Claire Woodall-Vogg, the head of elections for Milwaukee, Wisconsin, admitting. Let's put it up again. Image 3. Yeah, image 3. Put up again, image 3. Claire Woodall-Vogg writing a letter explaining that she misplaced the flash drive containing the tabulation from Tabulator 7 in the city of Milwaukee. And she misplaced it for 10 minutes, but she says, don't worry, it isn't fraud because there were other people in the room where it was left for 10 minutes. And we just went through and showed the video because this is the great thing about this. We have video of when she actually put it in the tabulator, showing that the other people in the room were on the other side of an open floor plan office.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a little room. This is like the entire floor is one open room. The tabulator's on one side. The people are on the other. So don't worry. It couldn't have been fraud because there were always someone in the room. Forgetting about the fact that as long as that USB is connected to a machine that we already talked about can be connected to the internet, it is possible for it also to be hacked remotely.
100%. Matter of fact, there's a guy called Code Monkey that has out there that's actually gone through all the schematics inside of Dominion voting systems, and he goes, I could hack this in 15 minutes. He said that. He's like, I can hack in 15 minutes. Yeah. And there was another person that came on that said, and by the way, the media Guys, if you have to be scared, I would be scared at the fact that the media comes out and says over and over and over again, there is, we have independent experts that have told us that there's no opportunity for voter fraud, for widespread voter fraud. And then you look at who their experts are, and they're all, I used to work for Biden. I used to work for, it's crazy. I used to work for this election system. People, we are being duped. We're being duped. We're being duped as people.
And let's just put up my screen again. We played this video. We don't have to play the video again. It's like a 10-second video. Put up my screen, Mr. Producer. Yeah. Well, I don't have the video. Just put up my screen, Mr. Producer. That video where we saw Milwaukee's police car racing with the ballots weren't in it. She left them behind.
You got to be kidding me.
So the whole theater, the whole political theater of her getting into the cop car under the protection of police and bringing the tabulated ballots on the flash drive from A to B. It was all political theater. She didn't actually have it. It got left behind.
It's the old switcheroo, right? You follow this, to see this hand, while this hand's not doing anything. They're lying. I mean, that's the whole problem that I have. It's not that. Look, if President Trump loses because the American people speak, then fine. But he didn't. He didn't. Yeah. He didn't lose because of that.
And here's the amazing thing. According to reports that letter we just shared now substantiate. According to reports, when it was revealed that she had lost the flash drive, police tried to call it in, but she told them to stand down. What?
Yeah.
Think about that. Think about that. Police wanted to call it in and say, whoa, you mishandled the flash drive? That whole thing of us bringing you A to B in a cop car with the sirens on and 3 uniformed gunned officers with guns, that was all political theater. You misplaced it. They tried to call it in, and they were told to stand down. Don't worry, we'll find it. And this all happened at the same time that Wisconsin saw that magic jump where Joe Biden miraculously took the lead back from Donald Trump. Putting it all together, right? We've been talking about it. We've been talking about it for over a week. I'll find the graph again just for people who don't know what I'm talking about. It's just we've been talking about this for a week to finally be able to put the pieces together and say, oh, that moment that we all said was statistically impossible for Joe Biden just to miraculously get over 100,000 votes all at the same time in the dead of night after we were all sent back to sleep, that thing that was statistically impossible, yes, it is statistically impossible. And it's also probably illegal because she didn't actually maintain possession of the flash drive. What do you think, Joe?
I think that it's fruit of the poison tree. I think you have to throw it out and actually have another election. Look, the head of the election commission came out and said that this entire thing is a fraud. It's a farce, right? It's an illegitimate election. He said that, and none of the networks are actually running with that. This is the guy that's in charge of the elections, right? To oversee and his opinion should matter. And he's no longer an expert. Just so you know, he's no longer an expert. He's got all the stuff in front of him, and he's no longer an expert. Just think about how big that is. It's huge.
Yeah. All right, go ahead, put up my screen again, Mr. Producer. So this is what I was talking about. This is obviously the logo that someone created. We didn't create. But this jump where you follow my mouse, it goes all the way here. Okay, Joe Biden's going to lose this election. And then in the middle of the night, it goes up, jumps over Trump, and he wins. That jump, we now know that immediately followed the head of elections in Milwaukee losing the flash drive and finding it 10 minutes later. The statistical anomaly that we've all said this makes no sense whatsoever. We now know that happened after data was inputted from the flash drive that had gone missing.
Yeah. So here's the thing that we have to do as people. We have to stop letting the minority tell us what the majority should think. We have to start using our sensibilities and actually using our brains and say, oh, I know it looks like that, but no, it looks like that because it is that. They are a bunch of frauds. They are frauds. And why are they saying we shouldn't recount? Why? Why are they telling you there's nothing to see and we shouldn't recount? When the head of strategy and security, which by the way, Max, we should probably talk about it. I got deplatformed. Yesterday off of Twitter. I got deplatformed.
Why?
because I posted about Eric Coomer. And Michelle Malkin actually posted it, and other people started posting it, and she actually said, you need to follow this guy. And so they said that I violated their terms of service because for what?
Told you.
What did I violate?
I warned you. Well,
I didn't violate anything.
If we had put up, I assume you posted the Facebook posts from him. Mm-hmm. Did any of the Facebook posts include anyone in the comment section?
No.
Not blacked out.
No, all blacked out.
So what they're saying is that he is not a public figure, and that what you did was doxing. That's
but I read it. I read the whole thing. So was our attorneys. Our attorneys have read it too, and they said the same thing. It's like, look,
party. All I'm saying is welcome to the party. That's the argument they've been making for years.
But they could try to make that party. But I'm telling you right now that Twitter is Antifa. They let Antifa literally at the top of their deal say doxing. Someone gets doxing. They literally tell people, and they dox people on their page all day long, and Twitter does nothing about it. So Twitter is Antifa, guys. Twitter is Antifa. Twitter is a bunch of the whole organization is filled with Antifa people. Terrorists, domestic terrorists. And I'm going to tell you right now, Antifa is domestic terrorists. Now, some of you that are joining us notice that just below it says Joe Altman, not Joe Otto. Did you guys explain that yet? Did you guys go through that yet?
Well, no. It was supposed to be a big reveal, but then you were late.
It's not a big reveal. It's not a big reveal. So let me just tell you something. So I started Conservative Daily 11 years ago, about 10 and a half years ago, right? And in that time, a media personality. I wasn't really a media personality. I was just, that we had to have a name to go on the organization. So it was Joe Otto. It was a alias. So that alias, I didn't ever show my face or anything else. I would still, we have people on the team that actually wrote. So I didn't write all of or most of even the stuff we put out. I just signed it as the head of the organization. So fast forward all the way to this year, things happen with the pandemic, whatever you want to call it, right? And Max and I had a come to Jesus talk. We just had a thing that says, look, we've got to step out. We have 750 or 780,000 people that we actually help get messages in front of Congress. We've got to think outside the box. We got to stop this idea that we can't attach technology to what we do. And he says, well, let's do a podcast. So we did a podcast, and I started off when I did the podcast of not showing my face. I was like, Joe Otto, Joe Altman, I can't really come out as Joe Altman. They would understand this. I came out as Joe Otto. Then fast forward even further, about 3 months in, and I'm like, Max, people were like, who is Joe? What does Joe look like? Who is Joe? And so I came out and I said, okay, I'm going to put my face on to break the screen. And then fast forward even further, I got involved in building an organization that helps people in the community across the nation. And frankly, it got a lot of publicity as a result of it that I don't want. I'm an introvert by nature. And so then I had to sign an affidavit, and I got to do all these things based on this Eric Coomer deal, right? It's not scary to me. People are like, oh, you got to sign an affidavit. Yeah, but it's truth, right? So I'm not signing an affidavit for any other reason than I need to tell the truth. I need the Department of Justice. I need the Trump attorneys. I need everyone to see that Eric Coomer is in fact a just fanatic. I mean, and I showed it to a psychologist, and he goes, Joe, this is sociopathic. Like the way that he actually talks in here is something that a sociopath would do. And frankly, as I go through this process, I said, we can just stop it. Like, I don't even care. Well, what are you going to do to me? You going to take away my birthday? Right? But then I found out that they can try to take away your birthday. So then the death threats have just been rolling in like crazy. I'm going to threaten my life. Okay. I even had a conversation with someone about how they were going to kill me. And he said, well, I'm going to hang you from a tree. And I was like, dude, that's racist. You realize my dad's black. And he's like, what? And so I literally got in this conversation about this.
People can be hung from a tree without it being racial, especially if they don't know you're black.
But that's not the point. Why am I? What happened? Sorry. All right. Sorry. Did you hear that too?
It's your feed. No.
Oh, it's my feed. It's my feed feeding into my ears. Okay. Yeah, I was hearing things. No, but that's not my point. My point is I was trying to be funny. I was trying to say, look, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of anything. I want the truth to come out. I want us to have a fair and free election. This isn't about, hey, let's just try to make sure that Trump wins. That's not what it's about. What's about is you can't have this much voter fraud that's happening. It looks like voter fraud. It smells like voter fraud. You got the head of security and strategy at Dominion that literally is saying that he F Trump. I mean, you should see some of the rants. You will see as we start to publish them, but which I'll do on my Parler account. Because Parler won't take us down. See? So we, as you start seeing all of this stuff, you're going to say the same thing. Like, this is scary stuff.
Yeah. So let's, so anyone just coming in now, Joe Otto, he's been using a pen name for fear of retribution. He didn't want the left to come out and try and cancel him. And at this point,
I don't care.
It's just not worth it anymore. And people are already starting to put the pieces together anyway. Joe Otto was the pen name for Joe Altman, and he'll be out front now. Different last name, same Joe.
Yeah, same Joe.
Not all that.
But I mean, it's not uncommon. I mean, you got Kyle Clark in Colorado. He's not. If you got all these people that are actually media personalities, that's not their real names, right? Across the board.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not an uncommon thing to happen. I just frankly have taken too much of a role in the community on helping us get back to sensibility, and just decided that it's just too confusing. And frankly, I just don't care. And by the way, all the companies that I own, I mean, that they're out there, right? You know what I own.
Don't scroll
right?
too much.
I'm not. Sorry.
So that was the big reveal that was supposed to happen at the start of the show. Joe had to step away for a meeting, and we're doing it now. Anyone who signed up for the update noticed that in between when you signed up to be alerted and when it went live, the words big news were taken out of the title. That was because we didn't know if Joe was going to make it on today. But he did, and that is the big news. I want to jump to this. Mr. Bruce, put up my screen. Joe, I know you've read about this. It's the phenomenon of bellwether counties. Bellwether counties are counties across the country that historically, for whatever reason, the people who live in those counties are so representative of the country as a whole that the candidates who won those counties went on to win the presidency. And we look in the 17 most predictive bellwether counties across the country, and they're all different states. You can see that going back to 1984, right? Reagan won all 17, right? And then you look at George H.W. Bush, he won 15. You look at Bill Clinton, he won 16, then 17. George W. Bush won 17, then 16. Barack Obama won 16, then 17. Donald Trump won all 17. This year, we are being led to believe that Joe Biden won the presidency, only winning one. Actually, the number is off. They just named a second one for him. He only won 2 out of the 15 bellwether counties. You look right here. This is it. And I added that one, Clallam County in Washington, flipped as a result of late ballots that were found. But this is what doesn't make sense, right? This is what doesn't make sense. We talk about Benford's Law, which the media is now claiming you cannot use it.
This is fraud. Guys, how can you sit here and say that this is not fraud? How can anybody say this isn't fraud? How?
Yeah.
How?
They're expecting us to sit down and be quiet and watch as Joe Biden allegedly wins the presidency, throwing out every chapter on the most basic laws. Like, listen, this is one of the most basic laws of American political science. It's not perfect, right? As you can see, they flip. But when you look at these 17 counties going all the way back to 1984, there's one, Joe, that you can go all the way back to the late 1800s, and it's only been wrong twice. And it was wrong this year, right?
Yeah.
It's just too many anomalies just ignoring. They're like, oh, well, no, this year, Joe Biden's just such a great candidate. He's able to win the presidency without winning the bellwether counties. Oh, he's such a great president. Pay no attention to the Benford's Law curve and how his results just completely go against it. Right? Pay no attention to the obvious fraud. Pay no attention to the fact that, as we mentioned, the flash drive of all of the Milwaukee city absentee ballots just went missing for 10 minutes and then turned up, and then miraculously Joe Biden's ahead. Pay no attention. He's just such a great candidate. And obviously pay no attention to the fact that no one ever wanted to come to his rallies. Right?
At all.
Pay no attention to any of it.
At all.
He's such a good candidate. We now have to rewrite the political science textbooks because he's such a great candidate. And he busted through every basic law we have in predicting electoral outcomes. I mean, at some point, it just doesn't pass the smell test. It hasn't passed the smell test for me for a long time. I'm hoping everyone watching, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that share button. Make sure you give us a thumbs up. Make sure you comment on YouTube. Make sure you give us a thumbs up. Very important. Make sure you comment and then hit the subscribe button and then hit the bell for notifications as well. Very, very important. Listen, if it still hasn't passed the smell test, for you, let us know, because it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that Joe Biden is about to be coronated with more votes than the first black man ever to become president, right? Yeah. And he did so without winning Ohio, which has predictably gone to the presidential winner for a long time, right? He did so without winning these bellwether counties.
Wait, who's not in Ohio? Who's not in Ohio? Who's not in Ohio? What company is not in Ohio?
Oh, probably Dominion. They probably have a different one. Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, no, I mean...
People, if you're not paying attention, we should head to the streets and tear down these buildings. That's what we should do. Sorry, that's my thought of what we should do. I didn't say do it, but that's what we should do. And the reason why I say that is because, listen, they're stealing our republic. They're stealing it. Guys, they're stealing it. They're actually stealing the election. And we're watching it happen, and we're saying, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not okay with it.
It's incredible. So when you look at all this, and every single indicator says something's wrong, something just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't add up. And we're all being told just to forget it, just to ignore that in your gut it doesn't feel right. I mean, they're protesting in Arizona in part because they know that they turned out every single Republican. Like, you look at Michigan, Wisconsin, I think it was Wisconsin, more Republicans requested absentee ballots than Democrats. And yet we're being told that the absentee ballot total went overwhelmingly for Biden. I mean, it just doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. And at some point, we just have to... Listen, the mainstream media should be removed from this process entirely, because no doubt on YouTube right now, they've added a little disclaimer to our video. No doubt about it. They've added a disclaimer to our video saying that this is fake news, whatever. It just, at some point, we have to bust out of this mold and just say that this is not legitimate. But you know who's really pissed about that, Joe?
Who?
I caught you not paying attention. Barack Obama is not happy about this. Barack Obama is very upset that people like you and I are challenging the legitimacy of Joe Biden's reign. Let's go ahead and play cut one.
What are these false claims of widespread election fraud doing to our country?
False claims.
Right now?
They appear to be motivated in part because the president doesn't like to lose and never admits loss. I'm more troubled by the fact that other Republican officials who clearly know better are going along with this, are humoring him in this fashion. It is one more step in delegitimizing not just the incoming Biden administration, but democracy generally. And that's a dangerous path.
Unbelievable.
I'm telling you right now, as a country, we are in big trouble. When the first thing out of Biden's mouth is we're going to do all this stuff for everyone in the country, right? We have now we have literally governors coming out saying we're going to shut down we're going to shut down your economies. We're going to force you to stay home. We're going to revert back because of a virus that kills whatever it is, 0.5%, right? That's what's happening right now. Elon Musk, did you hear what he actually said today?
He took 4 COVID tests, 2 were positive, 2 were negative, and they were processed at the same time.
Same time. And he did it on purpose. He did it on purpose. Yeah. Guys, listen, I don't know how to tell you this, but we're in big trouble. We're in big trouble because we fail to have courage. We fail to actually stand up for what's right. Look, stand up for what's right has got me a bunch of death threats. I actually have security for my family. I have security for me.
I haven't gotten one of them. I'm just going to count my lucky stars.
Yeah.
But yeah, Obama says that we're delegitimizing the election. But we all remember that on December 16th, 2016, he went out in front of cameras and held a press conference claiming that Russia influenced the election.
Yeah.
Like, he was responsible for sowing those seeds.
100%.
And now he's trying to pretend that we're the ones delegitimizing it. They spent 4 years saying that Donald Trump was not the legitimate president of the United States, and we've spent a week focusing on irregularities, on actual fraud, on affidavits, proving that fraud happened, And we're called enemies of democracy.
No, they are the enemies to our democracy. They are the enemies to our democratic republic. We are not a democracy. We're not. You call it what you want, but we're not. People, we're not a democracy. A democracy is mob rule. Just so we're clear, if you know anything about history, mob rule. And they're setting us up to accept mob rule. That's what we do. Democracy is mob rule, mob rule, mob rule. They keep repeating it over and over and over again. We're not a democracy.
I highly recommend that anyone watching this read Alexis de Tocqueville's Democracy in America. He was a French philosopher. He did other things. He had all these hats like many of those Renaissance guys, Renaissance men. He wasn't in the Renaissance, but he was a Renaissance man. He came to America and he wanted to study American politics to identify what made us different than other countries that had tried representative government in the past. And when he concluded, Alexis de Tocqueville, he concluded that America's different because we have checks and balances and our system is designed to prevent against the tyranny of the majority. It's to prevent against 51% of the vote gets whatever they want. We have those checks and balances, right? This has been the American way for a long time. We're not a democracy. You can call us a representative democracy. You can call us a democratic republic. But a flat democracy, a straight democracy of every person votes, and if you get 50% plus one, you win everything. That's not the way our country works. It's remarkable that Barack Obama unmasked Michael Flynn, right? His chief of staff unmasked Michael Flynn's conversation. We know that because it was in the report. They listed everyone who had unmasked Flynn. Joe Biden did it. Barack Obama's chief of staff did it because Barack Obama doesn't actually do anything other than sign documents. He wouldn't put that through. That would be his chief of staff. So we know that, right? We know that he was part of the coup. We knew that he was getting briefed by Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, Andrew McCabe, James Comey, right? They were briefing him about spying on the Trump campaign.
Right.
We know that Barack Obama signed an executive order just before leaving office, making it easier to disseminate the actual information collected from Crossfire Hurricane or whatever they called it at the moment to other parts of government, basically decompartmentalizing it, letting it be put all over the place so that you couldn't put the genie back in the bottle. Everyone had it, and then they all ended up leaking it, right? We know that. And here he is saying like, oh, I'm better than you. I know what I'm talking about. You're a danger to democracy if you dare challenge the legitimacy of this after we've already talked about Benford's Law, after we've already talked about the bellwether counties, we've already talked about all these things just don't add up.
100%.
But be quiet, put the rose-colored glasses back on, sit down, shut up, and accept a Joe Biden presidency.
Not going to do it.
Not interested.
Not going to do it. Not going to do it. But I'm going to tell you something that's going to happen if we actually let this kind of continue without massive uprising, without a massive uprising. A massive protest. Massive. I mean, get off your couch, put the Twinkies down, whatever you're eating, put it down, right? If we don't have massive in the street protests of what is happening right now, if we don't have that, right, then guess what's going to happen? And they're already saying it. They're going to come after. Yeah. They said they're going to attack people that voted for Trump. They're going to attack 70 million people. They're not attacking me.
73. Trump has now received 73 million votes.
Yeah.
So he's received 4 million more votes than Barack Obama did in 2008. Got to report this. CNN just called Georgia for Joe Biden, even though there is a recount underway. Think about that for a second. CNN reports that Joe Biden is the winner of Georgia, even though the original count is over, but they are recounting it because they have identified discrepancies that just don't make sense. CNN, though, not interested in a recount. They're saying Joe Biden's the winner. I cannot think of any other instance in American history where a news outlet has called a race for a candidate during a recount. Now, they might have called it before. That's one thing. But if they hadn't called it yet, calling it for the first time during a recount when the recount hasn't been finished yet is unheard of.
And he's
absolutely
winning.
Unheard of.
And Trump is winning by a massive amount in Georgia right now. Massive amount.
He's going to be up. And the Democrats are saying he'll be up until you start counting all the manufactured ballots. That's the other thing. Everyone remembers in Fulton County, Georgia, they stopped counting votes on election night because they claimed a water main broke. A water pipe broke. They said a water pipe broke and it made counting impossible. Well, it turns out that didn't happen. There was no water main burst. There was no water pipe burst. There was apparently a pipe that had a slow trickle, and it was immediately fixed. So this narrative that they had to halt the vote on election night because of a burst pipe was just not true. It was absolutely false. So it makes you wonder, why did they stop the vote? Why did they stop the vote in Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan all around the same time? Why did they do it? There's two reasons for that. Either they had to manufacture votes because they realized, oh crap, Trump's going to win this thing. They manufacture votes. Or the other theory that's now being pushed is that when you look at the data coming out of these states, people are identifying the vote switches, the moments that Donald Trump lost votes that was given to Biden. So the other possible reason is they shut it down because the fraud was being broadcast on live television. You don't shut down the vote on all these states on election night. You just don't do it. And the fact that they manufactured a burst pipe when it was actually a slow trickle that was immediately fixed and had no impact on vote counting, it's just so ridiculous. It's so absolutely ridiculous. I hear some noise in the background. Do we have a caller, Mr. Producer?
We do.
All right.
He's clearing the caller. Yeah. It is.
So it's absolutely incredible. And we're all being told that just sit down, shut up, that Joe got deplatformed on Twitter because he shared a Facebook post that was not a locked Facebook account. It was open to the public, right? You didn't have to be friends with him to see it.
No. That's not true.
A guy who is in.
That's not true.
He's an executive at Dominion. He's an executive at Dominion. And apparently, being an executive and part owner of an electronic election system company that is now under investigation, at least under scrutiny, apparently that doesn't classify as a public figure.
Who scrubbed the internet of everything that has his name on anything. He did that.
Yeah.
He did that. Look, I still think that there are lots of opportunity for President Trump to win. Lots. Yeah. I think President Trump is going to win. I think at the end, he's going to win. I do. I truly believe he's going to win. 100%.
Well, I'm going to do a podcast on my own over the weekend talking about the election of 1876 because we are seeing a lot of similarities. We've talked about it on the show before. 1876, there were 3 states, Florida, South Carolina, Louisiana, that said we cannot certify these results. Democrats committed voter fraud, and they tried to intimidate black people to stop them from voting for a Republican. Sound familiar?
Yep.
So they didn't certify the official results, and the legislature sent a different slate of candidates to Congress. Congress ended up, well, it's really complicated. I'll get into it over the weekend when we do a full history storytime hour. But it ended up being that the legislatures in Florida, Louisiana, and South Carolina were right. Rutherford B. Hayes won the presidency, and they were right. There was voter fraud. The difference between then and now is, at least back then, the media was willing to admit that the voter fraud was real, that the intimidation was real, that the irregularities existed, right? They were willing to admit it. Now they won't even admit that it happened. They won't admit that the head of elections in Milwaukee lost her thumb drive. They're going with the narrative that it remained in the chain of custody, which it cannot. Something cannot be in a chain of custody if you're relying on someone possessing it and they didn't know they had it.
Right.
And he said, they were in the same room, and the room is the entire floor plan of an office building. Machines on one side, everyone else on the other. It just doesn't make sense.
No.
It doesn't make sense.
But again, they just don't know how to tell the truth. But they don't know how to tell the truth. And if we don't do something about this, people, if you don't do something about it, man, I can't help you. Look, Trump has been fighting for us for the last 4 years, and we have to now start fighting for him. So you can actually go to WinRed, and you can actually give to President Trump to help him. You can start there, right? And the other thing you can do is you can actually get involved in some of these protests that are happening nationwide, right? They're happening this weekend nationwide. So get involved in those as well.
So we have a couple callers on the line. We have Annie on the line. Annie, how's it going?
Hey, it's going good, guys. I've been turning so many guys onto your podcast. I've been watching them well before Monday, but Monday was riveting, and the rest of the week has proved to be eye-opening. And I thank you, Joe, for covering what you did, and you too, Max. You guys are true patriots. That's coming from the mom of a U.S. Marine, and I'm worried for his safety now that we're compromised by a president who thinks he's the president, who is obviously in bed with China. Let me tell you. My question
what part of Mass are you from?
Oh, I'm from just out. Well, I grew up in the same area as Mark Wahlberg, a couple of streets away from them. So Dorchester, Mass. Originally, if you can't tell by the horrible accent.
You don't mess with people in that area ever.
No meffa here. It's all Dorchester. Yeah. It's kind of like Southie, but it's pretty bad. Let me tell you the accent.
I know Dorchester.
It's terrible.
I went to school at Boston College, so I know the area pretty well.
Oh, you did? Oh, so I lived not far from BC High, right up. My dad used to go to the yacht club right near the Boston gas tanks there. You remember the ones with the rainbows on them?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. So are you from this area originally?
No, not originally. I just went to school there.
You just went to school, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm a nice Irish Catholic girl, but anyways, we'll leave that alone because I'm not happy with the Pope these days anyways. But so that's awesome. But my question is, they're going to do a recount using this software, this program, everything that Joe has uncovered, and obviously you guys I know you guys are working and getting this information everywhere it needs to be, and obviously the Trump administration knows about it. I saw his tweet yesterday about 2.7 million votes were stolen by Dominion, which is disgusting to think about, that they are literally doing this right to the American people. They do a recount. They're doing one in Georgia right now. Dominion software is in Georgia. How's that going to change the same result?
It's in Pennsylvania. It's a hand count. In Georgia, it's a hand count.
Well,
okay,
yes
they're doing
and no.
a hand count.
It's a hand count, but it's based on the reports that were tabulated by the machines. So my understanding is they're not counting the ballots before they went into the machines. They're counting things after machines had already done it. So when you have machines in all these parts of the process, you have the machine at the actual balloting process where you go in, you do the touch screen, it prints something out, right? That's one machine.
Right.
Then you have the tabulator. That's the second machine. Unless you're able to actually audit and do the recount at the beginning of the mechanical process, it is entirely possible that the machine changed the results anywhere along the line. So that's why you need a full audit, you need a full recanvass, and you need a full recount outside and before the machines touched it. Because if the allegation is that the software was corrupt and it could have manipulated results, you can't count anything that's been given to you by machine. And we covered this on the show. One potential problem is that a printout could show you the right name, but the barcode could be changed. If you just scan those, that doesn't change anything.
Yes. Okay. You're looking and you're walking away thinking, great, I voted for President Trump, but lo and behold, they're masking it behind it and they're making it for Joe Biden, which, I mean, there was things on TV that they showed, and I don't know if this is real or not. I tend to believe it is, where they had ticker tapes, and you guys might have saw it too, where CNN was showing down the bottom of the screen that, say, Joe Biden, for example, had 1,290,000, and suddenly Trump lost votes, and Biden gained those votes that Trump lost, and they actually had it in real time. So, I mean, if you can believe everything you see on the internet, so that's what they're doing. Okay, I just was curious because I'm just obviously discussed it with the rest of us, and I just was saying, okay, how do these count? You know, it's, I don't know. Annie, I appreciate you guys.
Annie, let me ask you a question. If you took the time to go down to vote, and you know now that your vote doesn't mean anything, I mean, it's meaningless, that no matter what you vote, your voice will never be heard, how does that make you feel?
I'm pissed off. I am really upset. I'm still contemplating getting up and driving to D.C. at 3 in the morning. A friend of mine, we know a ton of people go into D.C. I went to the Stop the Steal protest in Boston last Saturday, and right when we got there at noontime, it was announced that Joe Biden won, of course, by the media, and we literally had anarchy across the street from us. You know, it was insane. Them versus us kind of thing, if you want to say it that way.
Well, let's go.
It was so positive on our side, and then they actually there was a photographer there from some liberal rag who tried to kick the kid who organized it. It was complete bedlam. So I know you guys have a lot of other things to talk about on your podcast, but yeah, I'm mad and upset, and I don't know what to do about it. Other than to do what you said, Joe, is to get out there, put your voice out there, and do something about it. So I just may get up at 3 a.m. and drive to D.C.
I'll see you there.
Are you going there? Yeah?
Yep.
All right. Well, I might be hopping in the vehicle. I'm convincing my friend Terry to go, so I'll be glad to see you there. And I got to tell you, I appreciate everything you guys are doing.
Well, we're not going to stop.
Well, thank you so much.
Either. God bless you.
Thank you so much for the call, and I love the accent. It's nostalgic. Thank you so much for the call. We got another caller on the line. We have John from Missouri. John, how's it going?
Ask him again.
We got John on the line from Missouri. John, how's it going?
Hey guys, how you guys doing, man? I'm a big fan of you guys.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
A couple things. I'm from Missouri, but I work at Scott Air Force Base in Illinois. I'm a DoD consultant, and a lot of the opinions on the base are pretty much the same. Everybody's a patriot, and everybody's a pretty unanimous Trump supporter. But what I'm hearing is a lot of people, even if they go through these recounts and they still find Joe Biden the winner, a lot of people here won't accept those results, and a lot of people are kind of jaded and feel like it's still a stolen election just because of all the inconsistencies that happen. My question to you guys is, what does it take to charge one of these Democrats? You got Hillary Clinton's thousands of missing emails. You got Hunter Biden's laptop. You got Obama, who ran a super corrupt administration. And it seems like there's all these things found, but nobody ever goes to jail. Nobody's ever charged with any crimes. What does it take to arrest these Democrats, to charge them?
It takes courage from the Justice Department. It takes courage to, get rid of this infiltration. And frankly, I'm going to tell you what it might also take, and you're not going to like what I have to say. And I'm not saying that
don't get us deplatformed. Don't get us deplatformed.
I'm not. I'm answering the question. It's a question of what I think. I'm telling you what I think. I think it's going to take this civil war playing out, and I think we're in the middle of it. I just think we are. I think I think that we're in the middle of it. I didn't say that a shot had to be fired, but I think we are in a period where we have divided as a country, and frankly, people are tired of it. They're tired of it.
The challenge of it is
he has won in waking up a giant, significant amount of the population to the Democrats' lies and the media and games. And a lot of people see that for themselves, where even if Joe Biden wins this election, he's going to have more resistance than Trump had his whole 4 years, I believe.
Yeah. It's I think it gets beyond courage, because in order to do this, you need to have someone who isn't already in the tank for Democrats in positions of power to do something about it. Attorney General Bill Barr gave everyone instructions to, when you find credible and significant voter fraud, to prosecute it. The response was the people in charge of prosecuting voter fraud resigned, right? They refused even to consider prosecuting significant fraud. So the challenge is going to be it's not just courage, because courage is important, right? But the problem is that you don't have enough Republicans or conservatives, or at least legitimate, unbiased people in positions to do this. You have the Peter Strzok's of the world. You have the Andy McCabe's of the world, right? They're the ones pulling these levers, hopelessly biased, claiming they aren't. You don't have enough conservatives or just fair people doing this. So when it's all Democrats, look at Philadelphia. It's a crime in Pennsylvania to destroy envelopes. It's absolutely against the law. It's also a violation of federal law to destroy the envelopes, but they're doing it anyway. And it's not a matter of courage, because the Philadelphia district attorneys, they're just not going to charge it, right? It's not because they lack courage. It's because they don't think it's a problem, right? The city of Philadelphia told Trump to put his big boy pants on before the election was even finished being counted.
But it's not. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with the fact that not that they can't see it. They don't want to see it, because if they see it, that means they have to do something about it, and it doesn't benefit them. Right? We are becoming ants in an ant farm. We are actually becoming enslaved to a group of people that wants to treat us terribly. Right? I mean, terribly. We are being enslaved as people. We are. All of us. Except for this elite little group of politicians that can cheat with their little elite little group of people that are cheating for them.
Well, the thing about that is, back in the day, they cheated, sure, but they cheated small enough where they could downplay it to the American people where people didn't catch on. But I firmly believe that Trump got so many votes this year that for them to steal it, they had to do something like they did on election night and shut it down and steal it blatantly and out in the open. Now, whether people catch on to that, and start thinking for themselves, or they listen to the media is on them. But they're doing it in front of everybody, you know.
Right.
And these big Democrat-ran states, especially like Illinois, where I work, the taxes are through the roof, the lockdowns are intense, and everything's out in the open for everyone to see. But it's speaking about standing up and actually making it happen. I've just seen, you know, over the years, all these corrupt Democrats, and they just get away with it, and, you know, right in front of everybody, and it's just tiring.
Yeah, we completely agree. Well, thank you so much for your call. Really do appreciate it. Thanks so much for the call. Everyone's feeling the same way. Everyone's feeling that it's just obvious. It's just before we did that live stream. Well, you had the election night party. We did the live stream, and it was just obvious. Trump was mounting up such a big lead, but in my pit of my stomach, I said, they're going to do something, right? And the next morning, waking up and saying, in the middle of the night, between 3 o'clock and 4 a.m., there was a massive surge in Biden ballots that just all got counted all at once, and Biden's now the winner. And now when we learn that that corresponds to the tabulator, at least in Wisconsin, the thumb drive going missing for 10 minutes, and that police were ordered not to put out a call to find it. They said, be quiet, we'll find it. If the police were concerned, then it was outside the chain of custody, right?
100%.
Police don't say we need to put a call out if it's in the chain of custody. And they didn't know where it was. So it's just... it's just so obvious.
But that's the problem, is that they're going off of these are all just, they're coincidences. They're coincidence. This can't be, this isn't, it's kind of squishy. It's squishy.
Yeah.
We're dealing with...
We have reports now that Trump's going to be speaking at 4. I know that he was going to speak on coronavirus. He'll probably also talk about this. We're going to be live streaming his press conference here on our Facebook channel. Not on YouTube, but we'll do it on Facebook. So make sure you tune in when that happens. I believe 4 p.m. Eastern time is when that's going to be happening. It's just, listen, on the one hand, I'm so disheartened because the media is refusing to even report the affidavits. They're refusing to even report the admission from the head of elections in Milwaukee. They're refusing to report any of this. And when you go online, it's not just you getting deplatformed, Joe. It's tons of people being deplatformed. And they're being deplatformed, actually bringing out evidence of fraud. And the reason that they're being deplatformed and kicked off of Facebook or Twitter is because Facebook and Twitter's official policy is that fraud doesn't happen. And if you say fraud happens, you're lying. And apparently that's against their terms of service. So it's a weird kind of circular logic that there is no fraud. And if you claim there's fraud, that's also a bannable offense. It doesn't make sense at all. Which is why we have to keep fighting. It's not just, we have the evidence, we have the irregularities, we have the admissions, we have the criminal statutes, we have everything to prove that just something isn't right. And listen, maybe Joe Biden won legitimately. Maybe at the end of the day, there are enough legitimate votes to get him over. I don't know. But the fact that we don't know is what's so damn disturbing. Because we're going into...
They don't want us to know. They don't want us to know.
No.
They don't want us to know.
New York Times said it's up to them to call the election. Right? It's just, you got to keep fighting, people. You got to keep fighting. So, Joe, I'll give you the last word as we wrap up the podcast. Go ahead.
I'm not going to stop. They're not attacking you, Max. They're attacking me. And one of the reasons why they're attacking me is because I did all the research. I'm the one that signed the affidavit. I'm the one that literally, frankly, just said, I've had enough. Max has been doing this anyway. He's a tireless patriot. But if they can come after me and they can attack me and I can still stand up, if I can do that, and frankly, they are threatening my life. They want to take away my life. They want to stop me from speaking. Then what's stopping you from standing up and taking my place? And if you don't take my place, who does? So I'm just going to tell you that we have to stand up together. Biden cannot be president because he's not the rightful president. Not because, we're living in la la land. It's because you can see the conspiracy that is happening before your eyes. Not the theory, but the conspiracy happening before your eyes. And it's drawing us all in to this place where we feel hopeless. We should never feel hopeless, and we should never let a socialist, communist society leak into a country where we had so much sacrifice to keep us as a great nation, a free nation. So that's all I got. Well, that's going to be it for this edition of the podcast. If you like the podcast, make sure that you text FREEDOM
to 89517. You'll get text alerts because Facebook and YouTube still aren't letting people know when we go live. So even though we do it predictably right around 2 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, and soon to be over the weekend too, make sure you text FREEDOM to 89517. You'll get text alerts. Also, there's a link for you to sign up to our email newsletter. Do that and you'll get our action alerts as well. We are on Parler. Follow us at Conservative Daily. We'll be happy to follow you back. Lots of people following us on Parler, taking a lot of time to follow back, but we are following back everyone. So make sure you follow us at Conservative Daily. We'll be happy to follow you back. If you like the podcast, please, please, please do subscribe and download the podcast on Apple Podcasts. Very important. Help us rise up those rankings. You can do that. There's a link in the description to download, subscribe on Apple Podcasts. You can also do it on Google Play Store, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and Podbean as well. So please do that. Please help support the channel, and don't give up by any means. This is not over. No matter what the mainstream media claims, it is not over. So again, that's going to be it for this edition of the podcast. My name is Max McGuire.
And this is Joe Otto. Joe Oltman.
No.
Ha!
Yep.
I gotta retire Joe Otto, huh?
Country, yeah, you got it. We'll kill it. Remember that the fight to take back our country clearly isn't over, but the only way we win is if we all stand and fight together.